Hi everyone, I'm Josiah and I'm a CSA survivor. I was SA'd when I was 9 years old by my cousin Andre Savage. And when I came out about it, many of my family members called me a liar to try to cover it up.
Because do you not remember when you said you belong in a pit with them? Do you not remember that? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes. Do you not remember I told you this about this at Miss Rebecca's? You told me you didn't say that. You did say that. You did say that.
If you guys haven't seen this video, I did a video the other day where I used this young man's video where he was calling out his own father for not believing him when he had told his father when he was a child that he was SA'd by his cousin. And just to refresh your memory, I'll show you guys a piece of the
Said, and he just now said I like being and I'm. And he said it didn't happen to me. I don't think it did. Yeah. He said it didn't happen to me. He said it didn't happen to me. What did you tell me happened to you? As a 9-year-old, a drink because I was scared to tell you the truth. Why? Right? Right? Because I didn't want anything bad to happen. To what? Because I was scared something's going to happen to me. To me. To me. Yes. Yes. Because do you not remember when you said you belong in a pit with them? Do you not remember that? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes. Do you not remember I told you this about this at Miss Rebecca's? You told me you didn't say that. You did say that. You did say that. You did say that. Afterwards. You did say that. No. You did say that. You did that. Because I was afraid something was going to happen to me. Right? Why? Because I was a 9-year-old. I was a 9-year-old. That's why. You were 9. Yes, that's why. Right? Right? Because Andre threatened me. That's why. That's why. That's why. No, they're not. That's why. That's why. No, they're not. Well, like I said, and I'm way too detailed. And I'm way too detailed of everything that happened. I can name everything in every room. In every room, I can name everything in every room. In every room, right? Okay, let me say this. And that's why. So I was afraid something was gonna happen to me. Okay, now you. And I was afraid. No. I was afraid you were gonna do something to me too. That's what I want to hear. Yes. That's what I want to hear. Yes. So let me say this. I was afraid you you're gonna hurt me. That's what I want to hear. Because guess what?
He was afraid right then. It looked like he was still afraid of his dad. He was bad. That's why he was keeping his distance. But yeah, so that was the clip that I had shared the other day. And he did a follow-up video to tell his story. So trigger warning to say the least. I'm happy that he's telling his story because the people involved do need to be exposed. His father, his cousin, and everybody else that protected his cousin. But it's triggering. It's triggering as heck. So get ready.
Hi everyone, I'm Josiah and I'm a CSA survivor. I was SA'd when I was 9 years old by my cousin Andre Savage. And when I came out about it, many of my family members called me a liar to try to cover it up. This man went into the courtroom and pled guilty to charges. He's on the offender list for I don't know how long. I think it was for 18 years. So he's still on the offender list till like 2028, I think. And many family members end up taking his side. Of course, sometimes people like to protect the predator and take the side of the predator, blame the child, or call the child a liar. My own father, he never put it into words saying he didn't believe me until recently, as you guys seen. That was the video from when I was an adult. I was 21 at that time, and he called me a liar. He told me that I just wanted to leave the house because I wanted to be gay. He's been obsessed with my sexuality. He's been questioning my sexuality ever since I've been SA'd as a child. So, just little comments and stuff like that. Like I remember, like after I was SA'd, he asked a question and asked if I was penetrated or whatever, and I said I didn't know what that meant, and he said you would know unless you liked it. And I felt some type of way as a child, but looking back at that situation as an adult, like that, you shouldn't have said that. Like that is weird. I'm not gonna lie, that's fucking weird as fuck. He also told me I belonged in a pit with him. Basically, I belong in a grave with the predator. Those are just so.
That's not weird. It is weird, but it's disgusting. It's infuriating. It's everything. It's all of that. That's not. Weird is an understatement. Weird is neither good or bad. You know what I'm saying? That shit right there was terrible to say that to anybody, let alone a child. Their child, like, yeah. This dude's dad right here, Josiah's dad, is one of the worst representations of a father I've ever seen. I've come across a lot of terrible fathers on the internet, but this one right here is, oh man, he's bad.
Some of those, types of situations right there that, and then a lot of the people from my father's side of the family called me a liar, took his side, still call me a liar, still to this day, even though this guy is on the sex, my cousin Andre Lamont Savage is on the sex offender list.
So it sounds like he didn't get convicted for what he did to Josiah, but he got convicted for what he did to somebody else, which should say everything, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this little kid said he SA'd him when he was a little child. Fast forward however many years later, the guy ends up pleading guilty to SA charges of another child. Come on, connect the dot, but they still don't want to believe that he did it to Josiah.
So the only reason why you would call the child a liar is to just try to cover up what the predator has done, and just to, try to help the predator avoid facing consequences and facing backlash. That's the only reason why you would say that. And then if I'm not mistaken, because if I have photos of the person who SA'd me as a child, I'm pretty sure he has kids now. As you see in that one photo, he's with a girl. I'm pretty sure he has kids. Or if it's not his kids, then he's still around kids. Or he was around kids in that photo, which was like in 2020, 21 or whatever. That's what the photo is from. He deleted his account because, he was getting so many messages and stuff calling him out for the disgusting person he is. But it's the fact that you're still around children. And if he does have children, then his children probably go to school. And his children probably make friends and things like that. And their friends probably come over to his house one day. And then what happens then? That's why I'm going this far. I went to the police, but that's not enough. Somebody's offender status is not hovering over their head when they walk outside. You interact with offenders every single day that you wouldn't even know is on the fucking list. Right? That's why it's important not only to go to the police, but also publicly expose these people so other people know to keep their fucking children, their kids, their family away from them. Because like I said, every person you interact with, unless you're looking their name up to see if they're on the offender list, then you don't know who you're dealing with. And then I'll also feel some type of way as a child because it's like, my mom and dad allowed that man. It is weird to look back on this stuff. Like, you allowed that. Why was that man allowed around your children? Why were you allowing him to spend nights? Why were you allowing him to spend multiple nights at your house with your children? Why you were letting him play games with your children, just hang out with your children? Did you not find it weird that an adult was spending and hanging out with your children that much? Like, that's weird. And and I feel sometimes like you didn't get any type of suspicion that I was being SA'd. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look back at certain situations and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense at all. And then on top of that, I was mentally and physically abused by my father. As you guys see the pinned video, but we can go over some situations. For example, he threatened to break my jaw. Over what, you may ask? Well, this is probably when I was 13 and I was dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder. So I started showing signs of OCD at the age of 9, like 9 or 10. But
which was around the time when he started to get SA'd. So he started to become OCD around the time he started to get SA, which that's, I just got done talking about this, but that's what I be talking about when I be saying, like, a lot of these things that we think are the actual problem are just symptoms of abuse. And I think that is very callous of us in our society to see people going through this type of stuff and then judge them based on the symptom and not look at the cause. We don't want to ever acknowledge the cause. We just want to tell them, well, being OCD is weird. Whatever it is, whatever the issue that, like I talked about earlier, being promiscuous, that's weird. That's bad. No, getting SA'd is bad. Getting abused is bad. That's bad. Let's talk about that.
When I came out, I was like, I think I'm dealing with OCD. I'm dealing with something. Like, something is wrong. I came out. My mom said, I'm overreacting. My father said it was whispers from the devil, because he's a religious person. He's a Muslim, and I have no problems with anybody that's religious, but he was telling me it was the devil inside of my head. So I didn't. Eventually, it became too much for my mom and stuff like that. And they took me to the psychiatrist, and I got diagnosed with OCD, clinical depression, and ADHD. So I was in and out of mental hospitals with that shit. And like I said, where he threatened to break my jaw. What did he threaten to break your jaw for? Because of a post I made on Instagram. My father wants to portray this perfect family image or whatever. He likes to put a mask on when he's around people. And I guess him having a child.
That's a like real narcissist type shit. Like when you want to be like, have like this perfect image to the world, but then at home you're like, you know what I'm saying? He's somebody completely different. He will show up for everybody in his community, but he won't show up for the people in his own house. That's a known narc trait.
Child with mental health issues went against that. So I already sought help. I tried to go get to a psychiatrist. I tried to reach out as much as I could, but I was told it was whispers from the devil, and I was gaslit by my mother telling me that I don't have OCD and that I'm overreacting. So I went and made a post on Instagram asking, are these thoughts normal? Are these obsessions normal? And I was washing my hands a lot and things like that because I was worried and scared of contamination and stuff like that. So I was like, are these normal? And I was on a jump rope team at this time. I'm a professional jump roper, so I was on a jump rope team at this time, and my jump rope coach, I guess, saw me make that post and contacted my parents to see if I was okay or, like to check up on me. And instead of checking up on me, my father went into my room and screamed at me and told me if I didn't delete the post, he was going to break my fucking jaw. Now, that just looking back at all these situations as an adult, you look at things differently. That is not okay. You're not going to gaslight me into thinking that's okay. That's not okay. That's not okay to do to a child. That is none of those two scenarios. I deserve to be punished for crying over trauma. I deserve to be punished.
No, you didn't deserve to be punished at all. Your dad deserves to be punished though. And the guy who touched you. And your mom, I guess to some extent if she was in on it, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to really even talk about your mom's because she was with an abusive man. So who knows? Who knows how much power she actually had in the situation.
Punished for reaching out for help on the internet when you did not give me help? So you're going to punish me for that? I did not deserve punishment. I was not a horrible child. I never cursed at my parents. I never did any of those things. I lost respect for them now. They do not deserve my respect. You don't get to abuse somebody and then still ask for their respect.
Facts.
I cut off all of my family members except my mom. I speak to my mom for financial reasons. That's really it. But, I changed my first and last name legally through the courts. I don't speak to any other family members other than my mom. And I feel some type of way with her too. Because, you sat back and allowed all of this stuff to happen. You could have stopped it. You didn't. You were the breadwinner. You made the money. You could have left him. You could have did whatever. You could have got me away. You could have sent me away to a different family member or something. You didn't do that.
Well, there's that. He said Miles could have did whatever she needed to do. So there you go. So everybody got to be held accountable at this point.
You put a man over your child. You put you wanting to be in a relationship with that man over your child's mental and physical well-being. So that's why I feel some type of way with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mom tries to play innocent and all this, and she's gaslit me for years.
Like I said, the only reason why I'm in contact with her is for financial reasons. But I don't feel like she like looking back at it as an adult. I don't feel like you're innocent either, because it's just, first of all, you knew my father was mentally and physically abusing me, and you did nothing. Like I said, she's the breadwinner. She could have divorced him. She could have left him. Anything. She didn't. And then how did you let a grown man, spend so much time with your children? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you never sat back like, why does this man want to come and spend multiple nights with my children? You never sat back and said like, my children are like 9 years old, and this grown man wants to spend multiple nights with your children, and then he slept in a bed with us. You didn't sit there and think that was weird? Would any other parents think that's weird?
Yeah. Again, beyond weird. That shit never would have happened. That shit never would have happened. But as far as I know, when it comes to the predators, the first people that they like disarm are the parents. The first people that, you know what I'm saying, they check the parents first. And then once they see that they can like the parents aren't going to protect the kids, and you know what I mean? Like that's who they work on first, and then they move in on the kids. So that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he marked your parents a long time or whatever. He sized them up and was like, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. They don't give a fuck about these kids. That's what it sounds like. And lastly, this is the cousin he was speaking of. This is Andre Lamont Savage. As you can see in there, it says this is the man who has aided him allegedly. Yeah, that's that. It is what it is. Damn, man. Shout out to Josiah, man. That man's still standing. He's still here. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I don't know if I'd have been strong enough to make it through this. I don't know, because he seems like he just seems like a genuinely nice person. He just seems like a good dude. You know what I mean? Damn, man, that was tough. Damn, that was tough. So, yeah, we just putting the story out there. Like he said, we want to make sure that everybody sees this man's face. You don't want to have your kids around him. According to Josiah, he said that, you know, he did what he did. He's already on the registry. So there's that. Yeah. Amazing. The failures of parents, and it's crazy, and not crazy, but lastly, I'm gonna say this because I gotta say it. Y'all can say whatever, but here's why I get so annoyed at the whole like men and women argument or whatever, right? Because look at what happened. Look at what happened. The person that abused Josiah was a man. That SA'd him was a man. The person that physically and emotionally abused him was a man, his father. His mom, the role she played was she ignored and allowed the situation to happen. Right? She could have got him away. She could have believed him, so on and so forth. Yes. So she is to blame for that. But I just can't help but to point out the fact that the people that harmed this boy the most, the two people that harmed him the most are men, and one of them is the man that's closest to him, his father is supposed to be. That's all I want to point out. Like, it's not like, I know we like jokingly, but seriously say it's not every man, but it's always a man. But like at the core of these issues right now, this issue in particular, it is a man and it is misogyny. It is a man and it is misogyny. The hatred of children is a part of misogyny. The disregard of children, the disrespect, the degradation of children is also a part of misogyny. The entitlement that men have comes from misogyny, comes from the patriarchy. Like, all of these things can be directly linked to the patriarchy. Child SA in general, all of it can be directly linked to the patriarchy. All of it. All of it. That is the root cause of it. So when y'all be running around here and talking about, oh, it's not all men, it ain't all blah, 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 use this scenario as a perfect example. as another perfect example of how men fail their children all the time, and men are the ones who harm the children and the women like almost every single time. And then like there's a woman in the mix, and y'all are like, y'all gonna harp on that and pick on, oh, see, her mama didn't. Yes, hell yeah, she terrible for that shit too. He even said it. I agree. But let's talk about the root, and let's talk about who actually perpetrated the harm before we start talking about the third and fourth, people involved in the situation. And that's what we end up doing a lot of times in these conversations. We end up, because the misogynistic men want to deflect, y'all end up talking about the fourth and the fifth and the sixth line of defense as opposed to talking about the first and the second. We never talk about the root. We never get to the root. And y'all be up here screaming about solutions. How are we going to talk about solutions if you don't want to talk about the cause? You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about a cure, but you want to talk about the prognosis before you get the diagnosis. Make that shit make sense. You know what I'm saying? So we got to address the first so we can address the latter.